Hey everybody, my name is Patrick and I own MacDonald Timing, and the next week is the week from hell. So yes, it is late October, October 24th right now, and fall is finally arrived, which means that we only have 1 week left of our cross-country season. And I want to walk you through what's happening for us in the next week, and maybe you can gain some lessons about how to set up when you've got a challenging week. So let's walk through kind of what's happening. Tomorrow afternoon I have 2 meets registration closing, so I'll need to do chips and zip ties and everything for them. And then Monday morning I've got to drive 2.5 hours to the Oklahoma border, and then 3 hours back into Central Arkansas, and then an hour back home to do 2 meets. And then on Tuesday, and then that night I need to do chips for 3 events that are happening on Tuesday. So Tuesday morning, I wake up, drive down to Little Rock, time 2 races that are part of 2 conferences that are separate, and then to Hot Springs for an event that afternoon, junior high and high school event, while my wife and technician go about 30-40 minutes east of us right now to do a high school conference meet, junior high and senior high. And then we all come back, and then on Wednesday morning, and then I got to do chips for a meet on Wednesday, and then Wednesday afternoon is a event about an hour or so west of us, and then Thursday and Friday I'm off, and then Friday I've got to go back to the same place as Monday morning near the Oklahoma border to do a college event. To round it all off though, it's going to rain almost every single day, probably at every single event. So, whenever something like this happens, regardless of the weather, I always try to set everything up as best as I can so that the dominoes just fall nice and easily. It's challenging though. It's quite literally tricky to try to plan for things that can't be seen too well in advance. So because of the rain, we've got a bunch of towels that are business towels basically, which sounds kind of hilarious, but they're only used for the business, and so those are getting washed and dried, and they will be all available to me in the van. And then we are setting up, normally we have nice Ziploc bags with a nice label with all the team names on them, and also it has information that the coaches need and the number of chips that are inside. And normally we print the number of chips on there. Not doing that this time. Just got the labels printed with the school's name, kind of blank space for the number of chips. I'll write it in with the Sharpie, and we got to go basically. So I've got 70 plus maybe 80 of those printed off, and going to be affixing those to the bags so that they are ready to rumble. I've got a plan as far as like an hour by hour plan for my entire 3-day stretch there. And for the most part, it's really not that bad. The challenge is going to be on Monday, though, because I've got about a 4-hour window between one race ending and another race starting, and it's a 3-hour drive. So I'm going to have to be really mindful about how getting the heck out of Dodge. Whenever I've got to do that, though, I really do try to make sure that I can get out of a place as quickly as possible. So a couple things come to mind. For one thing, it is actually helpful that we're not, that's going to be raining, because when it's raining, we do a different thing with our scoreboards. Our scoreboards are completely, as conditions allow, basically. And normally I would use my microgate, even if it was raining. However, my microgate battery died a couple of weeks ago. So, and microgate either won't sell me a new one, or I can't get, I don't know. Right now I'm not worried about it. We'll come back to it. But the microgate, the running clock is not going to be out. Probably won't put the result scoreboards out just first thing either. So we'll have a little bit more leeway with kind of everything basically. And then, we're not going to try to put out as many tripods as we can. Thankfully, the super clamps that Manfrotto makes, those can go really well on the rails on the side of the van, so we can just crank one on to the side of the van and be good to go. And actually, the rain has one really, really specific benefit when it comes to the iPico mats, is that it makes them heavy as hell. The mats being heavy mean that we don't have to worry about stapling them down nearly as much. Normally, if we're out on a college meet, golf course, probably we will stake it down probably every 6 to 8 inches on the front of the mat and about every 2 feet on the back of the mat. For a high school event, though, we might do a little bit more, give a little bit more space. But when the mat's already waterlogged, the ability of it to move is pretty negligible. So we're probably going to tack it down at the corners, maybe do about 6 staples per mat, and that really should be good enough. We can always adjust on the fly as we need to, but thankfully that does actually provide just a little bit of extra speed on the back end. Putting in the staples, taking them out takes time. Additionally, we've got a couple weeks ago I went out and bought a Craftsman roller storage container from Lowe's, the longest one that they had, that allows me to put in both of the mats when they're soaking wet into that container, not get the back of the van completely soaked, which would normally happen. I don't know why it took me 3-4 years to figure out that I should just go ahead and buy a container for it, but it did. So it's a pretty heavy duty container, so that'll be traveling with us too. So the idea is on Monday, it's going to be raining. After the meet, we just pull up a few staples, roll them up, put them in this big giant container. The mat will weigh close to probably 80-90 pounds actually. I mean, it'll be heavy, and then we'll throw that in the back of the van, and it should be good to go, and then we'll really cut down on time. Tuesday is going to be a totally different story though. I'm doing a meet down in Little Rock, and then my wife and Tech are going to have to go out. It's going to be raining again. Thankfully, the coach that they're going to go and do their meet for, we've known him for 15 years, and he's going to really help us out by having a tent for us and having a table and everything. And then there's only a chance that it might rain. It's like a small chance. Hopefully it holds out and we can kind of get it in, not be too challenged by it. The whole thing though is pretty exhausting. All of the meat databases are created. All of the meat, the baggies for everybody are created. My chip file, I'm going to make sure my chip file is 100%, 1 to 1700, and then 1 to 616 or whatever, that they're all full. Normally during the course of the year, we will replace chips with kind of temporary chips if we think that a chip might be coming back to us, and that chip will be put in the mail and we'll put them back, whatever. So we create some temporary chips to kind of fill stuff in, which is actually really, really helpful. And days like today, or weeks like this week are paramount, to have the ability just to assign and go through. So not too worried about it. Our chip files are in good condition too. I dealt with them about a week ago, and then everything is all van related from there, because I'm going to spend 16 hours a day basically with my van for three days straight. So tomorrow we'll pull that out, make sure that the air in all the tires is topped up, clean stuff as much as reasonably can, make sure the windscreen and the side glass, make sure it's all super clean, crystal clear, just to give ourselves the best opportunity to do everything safely, because I'm going to be driving in the rain and at early hours and late hours, in the dark basically. And so I want to make sure that just every little thing that I can do to do this safely is available. And so I think we've got everything kind of set to just kind of knock over all the dominoes. Thank you for watching all this and my learning how my reptilian brain thinks. And good luck with everything. Hopefully you'll hear back from me in a week, and I won't be on the side of the road suffering from total exhaustion. Thank you.